His name was Yevgeny Nuzhin. Before the war, he wasn't a famous man. He wasn't a politician, not a general, not someone with power. According to reports, he was a prisoner in Russia. And then the war created a new kind of deal. Freedom in exchange for fighting. Wagner recruiters went into prison and offered men a choice. There wasn't really a choice. Fight for us and you might walk out alive. Refuse and you stay inside. Try to run later and everyone already knew the rumors. That's how many ended up in Wagner. Not because they believed in causes, but because the system gave them the only bad doors to choose from. Nuzhin becomes one of them. He was sent to Ukraine into a war already soaked in blood. A war where people disappeared in fields, where bodies are not always found, where a person can be alive in the morning and gone by the afternoon. At some point he was captured by Ukrainian forces. Later he appeared in a video where he spoke openly. In that video he said he didn't want to fight for Russia. He spoke against Wagner. He sounded like a man who believed he had finally escaped the cage. That was the moment he became dangerous to Wagner. Not because he was a great fighter, but because he was a witness. In a group like Wagner, the real enemy is not always in the other army. The real enemy is the idea that you can leave, the idea that you can speak, the idea that the organization doesn't own you. Then in November 2022, another video spread online. This time it wasn't a video of him talking, it was a video of him dying. Reuters reported the video was unverified. But Reuters also reported Wagner's leader at the time, Yevgeny Nuzhin, made comments calling Nuzhin a traitor. Other outlets, including BBC Russian, also reported on his identity and background. That video itself was meant to be simple, brutally simple. A man sits with something on his head. He looks trapped. He looks like he understands what's coming. And then the weapon appears. A sledgehammer. Not the gun, not the knife, not something military. A sledgehammer is a tool you use to break concrete, to smash walls, to destroy something that cannot be repaired. And that's exactly why it was chosen. Because this killing wasn't about death. It was about humiliation. It was about turning a human being into a warning sign. The strike comes down. The sound is heavy, not like a gunshot that ends fast. This is slower, more physically, more personal. The point is not only that he dies, the point is that everyone who's watching will understand the message. There's no exit. You can die in the battle. You can die from a mistake. But if you betray, you don't just die. You become a lesson. You become content. In Mali, the violence didn't look like a street execution next to a fence. It looked like a system. It happened in Moura, a town of around 10,000 people, during a military operation. On March 27, at around 10 a.m., soldiers arrived by helicopter near the animal market. There was gunfire with Islamic fighters for about 15 minutes. People ran. Traders hid behind walls. Then the helicopter landed and the exits closed. Witnesses say another helicopter circled overhead and fired at people trying to escape. After that, Moura becomes a trap. Witnesses described white soldiers speaking a foreign language alongside Malian forces. Security sources told Human Rights Watchers the operation involved over 100 Russian troops. And witnesses said the foreign soldiers were especially visible in the first 2 days. After the town was surrendered, soldiers started detaining men. Hundreds of them, from market and from their homes. Phones were taken. Men were divided into groups and forced to lie down in the sun. They stayed there for days while soldiers searched their homes, took valuables and burned motorcycles. And then the killing becomes a routine. Over 4 days, soldiers called men out in groups, 4, 6, and sometimes 10 at a time. They were ordered to stand up. They were forced to walk away, dozens of hundreds of meters. And then they were executed. Witnesses described victims shot in the head. Others were cut down by gunfire. One person said the sound of the shooting echoed through the town from Monday to Thursday. A detained trader describes the rhythm. Every night, people were taken out and shot. Names moved through the crowd like whispers. They took Hassan. They took Hamoudi. Like the town became a waiting room where the appointment was death. Another witness describes sitting amongst about 200 men under the burning sun for 3 days. Around 11 p.m., soldiers selected 9 men, pointing at them one by one. They walked a few hundred meters, then their shots came. At daybreak, bodies were visible. The next night, more were taken, then more. It wasn't chaos, it was a process. The town was sealed, men were sorted, then removed in groups and killed, again and again. Human rights watchers called it the worst atrocity in Mali and said the killing of people in custody is a war crime. And here's the dark truth. In this operation, the word security often means we are free to do whatever we want. When the helicopter arrives, security is not something civilians receive. It's something that happens to them.